ערב טוב לכל תושבי
Good
ישראל.
evening to all the
בוקר
residents of
טוב לתושבי
Israel.
קנדה
Good morning
ומחוץ
to
לארץ.
the
אני
Canadians and
פשוט
those overseas.
מתרגש
I'm really
לארח
excited.
את
I'm so
המנטור
excited
היקר
to
שלנו,
host
ג'ילבר.
our mentor, Gilbert.
אנחנו מחכים להרצאה הזאת כבר הרבה הרבה
We
הרבה
have been
זמן,
waiting for this
ולאט לאט אני
presentation
רואה
for
שאנשים
quite some
מתחברים.
time, and I see that people are connecting.
התבקשתי שכל מי שכבר
I
למד
was asked that
ריקול לא יתחבר, כי
whoever
יש הרבה
again
הרבה
has already
דרישה, ואני
learned
מקווה שיהיה
recall
מקום
shouldn't
לכולם, ולאט לאט
connect
זה עולה
because there's a
המספר,
lot of
ברוך
demand, but
השם.
I see the numbers are
אז כמה דברים כלליים.
increasing. But a few
במשך
general words, if
המהלך
I may.
השיחה, ג'ילברט יציג
Um,
לנו מה זה
Throughout the
ריקול.
discussion, Gilbert
בטח
will
מי ששאל
present to
אותי
us
בפרטי או
what
בקבוצות
recall
אחרות, כבר
is.
אמרתי
People have
שריקול
asked
זה
me
תרפיה
privately,
אחת
and I said
מעל
it's a type
רובם,
of a therapy,
ואני הדגשתי את
and
הרובם,
it's
ויש
different
איזה
from
דגש מאוד
others.
מיוחד,
And I would like to
שהמחלה בעצם
emphasize
חלק
that
מתהליך הריפוי,
because it
על זה
basically
ג'ילברט
says that the
בוודאי
disease
ובוודאי הוא
is part
יצביע
of
על
their
זה. זה אחד
therapeutic process, and Gilbert will
הדברים
explain all
המיוחדים של
about it. I
ריקול,
think
יש
that
עוד
is what
טיפה
is
דברים
unique
מיוחדים,
about recall. There are some other unique things
ובתהליך
about
הזה
recall, but in this
ג'ילברט
process,
יסביר,
in this therapy process,
יינתן
Gilbert will
זמן
explain to
לשאלות.
us. There will be time for
אבל
you
תעשו
to
טובה, את
ask
השאלות
questions,
תשאלו
but
אותם
do me
אך
a
ורק
favor.
בקבוצת
Ask
הוואטסאפ.
these questions
ואל
only
תשתמשו
through the
בצ'אט, כי זה מאוד
WhatsApp
מאוד
group.
מפריע.
Do not use the chat on the
בצ'אט
Zoom. It's
מופיע
very
שני מספרי
disruptive.
טלפונים, גם
There are
שלי
two phone numbers
וגם
on the
של
chat, my
ורד
phone number
וגם
and
של
Vered's phone
אור.
number as well, and
כל
Or's phone
שאלה
number.
טכנית שיהיה
And
לכם,
any
תתקשרו.
technical problem
פשוט
that you have,
תתקשרו,
just
אל
call
תחכו
them.
שאנחנו נגיד
Call
לכם,
them.
תתקשרו.
Don't,
ככה
wait
נוכל
for
לעזור
things to
לכם
just
במיידי בכל שאלה
take
טכנית
care of
שתהיה. אם
themselves.
בעברית,
Ask
ואם זה
questions
נתקע,
whether it
כל
has
זה.
to do with the languages or if something gets
במהלך
stuck.
השאלות גם כן, מי שרוצה
And
שאלה
during the
קצרצרה, אז להרים
question
יד, כמו
sessions, if
שהזכרתי
you want to
איך עושים את
ask a very short question,
להרים
you
יד,
can
ואני
use
אציג את זה גם
that channel, that
בשאלות.
hand icon. You
ומי
can
שרוצה
raise your
לשאול שאלה
hand.
את gilbert
So
בחלק
if you
השני
want
של
to ask again,
המפגש,
Gilbert, again, a
הוא
question
ייתן
during the second part
שאלות
of the
יותר
session, there
בהיבט
will be time
הרפואי,
for longer
אז
questions
תמיד
then in terms of the
לכתוב לי
medical
בוואטסאפ שאתם מעוניינים,
perspective, but please write on the
וכל מי
WhatsApp group
שמעוניין
that
רוצה
you are
לחתום
interested in asking
על
questions. And
ויתור
if you are
סודיות. אחרת
interested,
אני לא יכול לתת לו
you again
לשאול.
have to sort of sign a waiver
זהו, זאת
of
הקדמה קצרצרה,
confidentiality.
וג'ילברט היקר,
Otherwise, he cannot or
בבקשה,
she
אנחנו
cannot ask
כבר
a question. So, Gilbert,
מחכים
please
לך.
go ahead. I
פשוט
think we are ready to
Okay,
begin. We have been waiting for you for quite some time.
I am. So, uh, for me, it's the morning. So, Bokar Tov to all of you. And so, I just do something here. Okay. So, I welcome to this quick presentation in recall healing. And we have many things to say when we tonight I will present in about less than 1 hour what I need 16 days to present. Okay, so that will be a little bit, as you know, quick. And then um, Gamliel talk about recalling a therapy. I would say that recalling is not really therapy because when you say therapy, it means that you treat someone. In recalling, we try to understand why we have a problem, why we are sick, why we repeat certain pattern, pathological behavior, or certain pathologies. And then the first way to help a person to heal is to understand why he has the problem. And recalling is a Sherlock Holmes work where you try to find that. And when you find something that is the reason why a person is sick, what I've observed for the last 25 years, it represents 60% of the healing. We didn't do anything yet. Just understanding why brings a degree of healing. If people don't heal, at least they have a degree of understanding why they are sick. So I will, in my presentation, I will combine the slideshow like this, and then some live presentation with myself. And then in my office, I have two flip charts that I like to work with from time to time. Okay. And then when I have a question, sometime I can give a general answer, and sometime I use the flip chart to try to make a very personal answer to the question. Okay. So um, before we go further, I just would like to first honor my mentor and my sponsor in Israel, who is Gamliel Shiloh, as you know him. So thank you, Gamliel, for sponsoring the Recall Learning Workshop now. And some of you have met earlier Edna Zilberman, my first sponsor. Now we have transferred everything to Gamliel because he's the best person to keep going. And you have all my appreciation, Gamliel. And then I think tonight's translator is Michal. So thank you, Michal, for making my French English understood in Hebrew. So before we go further into this presentation, I would like to let you watch a clip of my last stay in Israel. It's 3 minutes, 3 minutes where I introduce to you what is recall healing. Okay, so like that, as we watch that, after that I will just wrap up and develop the theme. Okay, so let's go into the... Hello everybody, my name is Gilbert Renaud. I do recall healing. I'm a specialist of recall healing for more than 25 years right now. And I come to Tel Aviv in Israel for the last 6 years. I have many hundred students in Israel, but also thousands of students at different areas of the world, like Hungary, Turkey, Russia, Poland, Germany, and other countries. I'm very pleased to come here in Israel because people are very interested, very reactive, and very participative. So what is recall healing? It's a science that helps to identify the emotional trauma behind condition and behavior. That means when someone is sick, we try to identify the emotional aspect of the problem. The clients remain under the healthcare professional, okay? But at the same time, we work that emotional aspect. And who are our clients, our students? First, many types of therapists, like medical doctors, alternative doctors, homeopath, naturopath, but also acupuncturists, theta healers, reflexologists, and one of the best students in recall healing is the mothers and the fathers. Why? Because they remember the childhood of their children, they remember the pregnancy time, and they can help the person to remember the family tree. And it's what we study in recall healing. So now I just finished that series of 3 weeks of workshop in Tel Aviv, and we had such a great enthusiasm in the workshop. We work on the children problem, children learning difficulties, children behavior, children illnesses. We also work on the relationship between people. Why do we marry such a man, such a woman? But also we study all the body system and we understand what is the conflict behind most behaviors and pathology in human beings. So I'd like to welcome everybody who have an open mind, who would like to help, to find a better way to help a person or to discover another way, complementary way that you already know to help a person. My work has been acknowledged by Moscow University, and they want all the psychologists of Russia to know and apply recall healing because it helps to accelerate the healing process or to activate the processing in therapy. So welcome all therapists, all mothers, all fathers. Thank you very much for having me. So that's the way I introduce recall healing in a dynamic way. As you can understand, I was younger on the clip, like all of us. So I just wish to hear. Do you hear me? I just need a feedback if someone hears me.
שומעים טוב.
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, okay, with my slideshow. Okay, so we have a book that exists in Hebrew. It's a dictionary of many conflicts that we have in recall healing behind illnesses and pathological behaviors. So it helps someone to guide the research with the clients to identify the origin of the problem. Because when you find the origin of a problem, it's fantastic because the best way to resolve a problem is to discover how the problem has started. Okay? And always at the beginning, when a problem starts, is because there's a misunderstanding. We cannot see that we're having a problem. We sometimes deny having a problem, and sometimes we run away from the problem without applying any solution. And then sometimes what happened when we were younger catches with us as we age, and it comes back as a cycle. And it's what we understand in recall healing. So we keep in mind that in this talk, we don't pretend to be healers. We don't pretend to replace any healthcare professional. We just do our best to understand the emotional trauma behind a problem. And then in recall healing, we become Sherlock Holmes. We ask questions. We try to find why someone is sick. What happened prior a disease? What is the conflict behind my disease, my pathological behavior? And when we find the why, I told you, is 60% of the healing. So you didn't even do any therapy yet. You just understood why you were sick. And then this work is based on the work of Carl Jung from psychoanalysis, from Dr. Hammer in German New Medicine, from Dr. Saba, was a Jewish person who created total biology. And I gather all this work under recall healing. And I don't teach German New Medicine. I don't teach GNM because I leave that to the specialists of GNM. But I know GNM since for the last 35 years. So, and why I don't do GNM? Because for me, GNM is a percentage of understanding why a person is sick, but it's not everything. So I like to integrate, I do integrative medicine. My background is naturopath. Huh? So, for example, so people who don't know how I started my life in this work is when I was younger, I was supposed to go into accounting in university. But luckily, I was also a dancer. So I didn't like accounting. So I quit university and I went 7 years as a professional, semi-professional dancer, tap dance, ballet, jazz, modern. And then when you dance, people get sick, get hurt. So I became massage therapist. In my life, I gave 8,000 massage because I had an acupuncture clinic. And before acupuncture treatment, we give a massage to optimize the efficiency of the massage. And then in 1988, I became naturopath, natural medicine doctor. And so when the knowledge of Dr. Hammer came and Dr. Sabah came into my life in the 90s, it opened completely a door because as naturopath, you know, when you're naturopath and someone comes to see you for cancer, what we did at the time, we tried to find a protocol to detox the person because in our conception of natural medicine, cancer is like the result of an anarchy in the body, like poisoning, you know. This is why we do detox. But I remember as naturopath, when we detox a person,
ברגע שמנקים את האדם מהרעלים שבתוכו, באמת אפשר להתקדם.
okay, so now I hear a voice now.
התרגום שלנו נעלם. sorry, the
Yes.
interpretation mode seems to have disappeared. Maybe can you
Oh.
ask Gamliel to please fix it for us? The
Gamliel?
interpretation disappeared.
Gamliel, can you fix that, please, for us? Because the interpretation disappeared.
גמליאל, אם אתה שומע אותי כאן, המתורגמנית שלומית,
אני-
וערוצי התרגום
שנייה
נעלמו
רגע,
פתאום.
כן, תעצרי רגע, היה פה איזו תקלה, אני מוסיף את מיכל, ועוד שנייה מוסיף אותה, ואני מפעיל שניכם. עוד שנייה. נתי.
Okay,
But-
he's working on it. There was a technical problem, and he will be assigning us as interpreters again in just a minute.
But what I can do is I say one phrase and I let you translate.
Okay, that
Okay? Okay. So
הנה, חזרנו לתרגום, אז שכל אחד יבחר עוד פעם את השפה, אם זה לא מוגדר לו. Excuse me.
okay. So now I remember when I was naturopath, when you put someone on detox, it's many people get worse because it takes a lot of energy for the body to detox itself. So when I discovered the work of Dr. Hammer and Dr. Saba, these men had excellent results to help people to heal from all kind of pathology without detoxing the person, simply by working the conflict. It was amazing. Okay, and this changed my perception and my work. And from that moment that I applied the work of Dr. Saba, okay, because Dr. Saba had a more complete understanding of the human being. And it's what we're gonna see in when I introduce the real work behind recall healing. Okay. So, and then, so since 1991, I have integrated the work that I teach today under the form of recall healing. So that means what I share with you is based on 32, 33 years of practical experience. And you'll see me when we talk together. When someone asks me a question about a problem, I know many things, but I never know what is going to work with the client because it is one-on-one. We know many things, but each individual has a personal way to integrate a problem in his life according to the drama, according to his past when he was younger, or when the mother was pregnant with that person, or according to the family tree. So we never know, okay? So this is why we become Sherlock Holmes. We ask questions. And the best way for helping a person to understand something is to ask questions. So now, if I say to you, someone has a problem, okay? Let's say someone tells me, I have eczema. Okay? Eczema is simple, okay? It's a skin pathology. So what would be the first question? Let's say you're someone who has eczema for 10 years and you cannot get rid of it despite all medication. So what we do first in recall healing is I will ask you since when you have the problem. Okay, so we ask questions. So, okay, eczema. We say, since when you have that? And then we say, what happened? What happened? That means what happened at the time of when the person developed eczema. So a person says, no, my doctor told me I had eczema. Yes, but what happened at that time of your life? And when we know the conflict of eczema, we know is related to a conflict of separation with one person. Okay? And the area we have eczema on the body can tell us which type of conflict happened with that person. Okay? Conflict of separation, sometimes if it's on the hand, it's because we don't touch each other's hand anymore. Sometimes when it's an eczema in the face, it's because I don't see the person anymore, or something shocked me with the face in that relationship with a person. And sometimes you talk to someone that you love, and then you know he's lying to you. He look at you in your face, and then you feel separated from what he tells you. You feel that when he look at you, he doesn't tell you the truth. Okay, and sometimes a person, we have many cases where the person feels separated. Okay, and the eczema appears in the repair phase of that conflict of separation. Now, okay, we have since when, what happened? And then you say, where were you at the time? Okay, how did it happen? You want to know who was there? Who was there? A lover, a boyfriend, a wife, a husband, a mother, a father, okay? You can also say who was not there. Because when you're a child, you need your parents to be there for you, but sometimes they are not there and you're lost as a child, okay? You feel separated from your parent, okay? And then you can ask what happened before the drama, after the drama, during the drama, okay? So Dr. Saba, okay, he was Jewish, okay? He died 2 years ago, okay? But Dr. Saba, he discovered that the simple fact you ask these questions like this for one pathology, you help the person to bring back to the time of the conflict that has created the disease or the pathological behavior. And when we remember that and we start to talk about it, many people realize that the problem I have today with my disease comes from a drama that happened in the past, and the drama is finished. Okay, but we don't know because we never processed the information of the past. So now the disease comes to say, hey, did you check up? Did you check in with yourself? Okay. Is it a problem that is still going on in your life today, or it's a problem that is finished that belongs to the past? Okay. All the work we do in recall healing is to identify that. And we will use the life timeline, the life cycles, and I will explain to you, I will give you some example. Okay? So when we do recall healing, we see that we study the emotional trauma, okay, the overwhelming conflict behind condition and behavior. And we will have two important tools to identify the conflict behind these illness, okay? And I will explain that right away in the next slides, okay? So, but for that, we talk about awareness and consciousness, because without awareness, we cannot. Awareness is a little bit the way we ask questions, a little bit the way we investigate where we are from, who we are, okay? And I will give you some important tool to identify that, okay? Our motto in recall healing is name it, claim it, and dump it. Claim it and name it, that means identify the problem that you have experienced at the time behind your disease. Claim it, that means verbalize, okay? And dump it is when you identify the origin and you verbalize about it, the brain can dump the pathology. It's very powerful. Okay, it's very simple, but it's powerful too. And some people say, how can I heal? Many people don't know how to heal because they go to see a doctor and they ask the doctor to heal them with medication or with a treatment. But in reality, did you know how to get sick? How did you get sick? People don't even know how to get sick. So do you need to know how to heal to heal? No, you don't need to know how to heal to heal. You just need to know why you got sick. When you understand why you got sick, quite often it brings you a percentage of healing. So Carl Jung said, what does not come back to your awareness comes back in your destiny. This is why when we say I have a disease, is the destiny of what I've forgotten that has happened to me. It's like an unfinished business. So for that, we need to understand the pyramid of health in recall healing, and I use this rocket to present that. Okay, so why the rocket? Follow with me, please, because if you understand the rocket, you will understand why we get sick. First thing, when you look at this rocket, you see three main levels. The top one is the psyche. Now, we are in biology right now, okay? We're not in psychology or in medicine. So that means the psyche, we describe it this way. The psyche is the conscious mind. Include in the psyche, in that level, our emotions, thoughts, decision, belief, religion, education, what you have received from your parents, your educator since you're a child. Okay? And then you have a middle layer called the automatic brain. This brain is the device inside of us that keeps us alive from moment to moment. We said the automatic brain is a computer of the 15 generations and is never wrong. So, and then the lower level is the body. And the body is a group of organs and trillions of cells at the surface of the automatic brain that controls the body. So now imagine this rocket is you and me, okay? Now, what is the morale of the rocket? I'll explain here, okay? So remember what I explained today. I spent 3 days on level 1 to explain the basic of it. Okay, so we go a little bit fast, but some people understand something enough to help a person to help yourself. Okay, so now imagine that our brain that monitors the survival in the body has 100% of body energy right now. Okay, now let's imagine a woman. Okay, a woman got married. She has 2 children. And when she said, yes, I do to her husband, it was forever. This woman, after she got her 2 babies, she went back to work. And then her husband works, and together they raise a family. Okay, now everything goes well in their life. Now imagine this woman. She keeps working very hard at the company. She picks up the 2 children every night after work. She comes home, she cooks dinner, she prepares everything for the family. But there's a moment her husband starts to do overtime. And after a few months of overtime, she discovers that he is having an affair with another woman. Okay? So now let's go into the psyche of this woman. She thought the love with this man would be forever. So she's not prepared for being cheated. She's a good mother, good wife, and a good worker. Suddenly, what surprised her the most is she didn't see that coming. It takes her by surprise. And then, you know, in biology, a woman feeds her man, feeds the man she loves, first with her breasts, symbolically speaking, like she feeds her children. Okay? So now we know, thanks to the work of Dr. Hammer in GNM, that the right breast of a right-handed woman is the partner side. So now our client, this woman, she goes through a conflict of separation with the man she loves. And she cannot imagine her life without him. So now imagine, symbolically speaking, it's like she had her husband at her breast, okay, for many years, and suddenly he pulled away from her when she still loves him. So that means she misses him. Okay. So now, since she discovered the cheating, he left her for that other woman. So now she's not prepared for that. So every night she misses him because he's not there anymore. The secret mind of that woman is one day her husband will come back and ask her for forgiveness, which will never happen. Okay. And then during the time, this woman cannot get over that. What is going on? Every night she goes to bed and she cannot sleep thinking of him. And all night she doesn't sleep. And she falls asleep around 4, 5, 6 a.m. And then after a few weeks, she's so tired, so exhausted that her brain, that is responsible to keep her alive from moment to moment, has to find a solution for her. So one night she goes to bed overwhelmed with the psyche full of problems. Okay, the psyche is so full of problems that it has taken 50% of body energy now. And now the brain has just 50% to monitor survival in the body that it controls. So now, one night, this woman goes to bed so exhausted that the brain makes her fall asleep very quickly. That night, the brain steps into her conscious mind to download the conscious conflict from the psyche into the subconscious. But every time the brain downloads the conflict into the subconscious, it has to store it in the corresponding part with the conflict that she's going through. And for a brain, a separation with the man she loves is always the milk duct of the breast. So now, the morning after she wakes up, she feels better. Why? Because she has forgotten how much she suffered in that separation from the man she loved. Why she has forgotten that? Because the brain has downloaded the conflict into her subconscious. So when she wakes up, she still remembers, okay, but she will remember just 10%. She will remember the separation, but she will not feel it emotionally because that emotional trauma has been downloaded into the subconscious, but also in the corresponding body part of the body, which is for her, the milk duct of her right breast. So now, when the brain downloads the conflict like that, it keeps 10% in the conscious mind, but the brain recuperates 90% of energy to monitor survival in the body. So now she starts a disease in her body when the download happens, okay? But she feels better and she can live another 2 to 5 years without any problem. But if the brain doesn't download the conflict into her subconscious, she remains so tired, exhausted, that she can die of exhaustion or in a car accident because she doesn't pay attention. She's too tired. This is why we say at first, a disease is the brain's best solution to keep us alive as long as possible. It looks awkward, but when we take the time to analyze everybody who has a disease, you always find an emotional trauma. Okay? Sometimes this trauma, most of the trauma comes inside of 1 year of the diagnosis, before the diagnosis. Okay? Sometimes the trauma comes in an earlier cycle in the lifetime line. Sometimes the trauma originates from a drama the mother experienced during the pregnancy, or it can be programmed in the 3 previous generations. So we use 3 generations, pregnancy, lifetime line to identify and resolve the emotional trauma. Okay, so we take the time to develop that in level 1, and people who study level 1, at the end of the 3 days of level 1, they already know what to do to help a person. Okay, so of course I developed that more peaceful, more slow in level 1 than in this presentation. Okay, so so now just give you an example. Okay, this week I had a client, a woman from Greece, and she says, I have cervical cancer of the cervix. And then she said, how come I have that there? I don't understand that. And this woman is a psychoanalyst, psychotherapist. So now, and she was in my workshop in June when I was in Greece. So now, what did I do with her? I said, do you know what is the conflict of the cervix? And I explained that in the level 1 workshop, and she couldn't remember. Why she couldn't remember? Because it's a conflict. When it's your conflict, you don't see it. Everybody can say, I see that in you, but you cannot see that in yourself because the conflict by symbolically is too hard to understand. You know, the cervix is the place a woman meet with the penis of a man inside of vagina, okay? So in biology, it means I feel safe with my man. I belong to my man. I love my man and I belong to him. And this woman, she's in love with her man. So for her, it doesn't make any sense because I love my man. Yes, but my job is to help her to find why she has cervical cancer. And then when we study the work of Dr. Hammer, he explained that the cervical cancer comes in the repair phase of a conflict of separation with the man I love. Now, yes, separation in the sense of having good sex together where I feel I belong to him as a woman, okay? Now, this woman, she's 43 years old, okay? So just for you to understand, okay? I do a sample timeline like this. She's 43 right now, okay? She's diagnosed here with cervical cancer. So now the sample division by 2. If I divide by 2 at 21 and a half, okay, 43 divided by 2 is 21 and a half, okay? And I look at what she wrote on her timeline, and is the most difficult separation from a man. She's in love with a man that lives on an island. He has a house, he has good money, and then she wants to stay with him, to live together. He is free, he has no other women, but he doesn't want her. She had good sex with him, she wants to be with him, but he rejected her. It's like, I cannot have my man, okay? So now, double of the cycle, she's diagnosed with cervical cancer. Just that, it makes sense. It brought an understanding, okay? But now, when you look at before, 6 years before in her life, for example, from 36 years old. At 36, she has a child, okay, with a man. And then she says that sex, I love my man, but we have problem with sex because he doesn't come in. He has hard erection. He cannot come in, and it's not satisfying for me. I always feel longing for something better. It's like if the contact of the head of the penis is not made with the head of the cervix in the vagina. It's like I miss that, okay? It's very important because the cervix talk about the contact with my man, okay? So now she has that, and suddenly she creates a business for herself, and she helped her husband to create a business for himself because he does not make any money. So now she's symbolically the woman who becomes like the man of the family, while this man raises the child. It's like he's the woman and she's the man. So it's like my man cannot make me feel feminine, feel a woman in my house because he's the woman and I'm the man, okay? So it's like she lives something different than what she wishes, okay? And then when I work with her man is away for 6 months. She cannot have her man again, okay? So she constantly live, I cannot have my man. And what is interesting now, she became independent at 35 years old because she felt that she was the man of her mother. She was the husband of her mother because she had to live at the house because she felt obliged to her mother. And her mother always find a way to block her to have a man in her life. Okay, it was crazy, but okay. So now, as a psychotherapist, psychoanalyst, she was good to help others, but she never seen that she cannot have a man for herself, or she cannot keep the man she loved. And from that moment, when she saw it, she felt a relief. Why? Because what comes back to your conscious awareness does not come back in your destiny. Now she understood that with cervical cancer, it's a repair phase of these stresses that she has experienced in her life. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so we can take any disease. Of course, I agree with you, you have some disease more important. Me, I don't replace the medical doctor. I just try to find the emotional trauma. And then some pathology, very important, needs a good integrative medicine to support the healing process, okay? But we can do many things at a beginning level to help a person, okay? Let's go to see what else can I share, okay? So, you know, when we work in recall healing, one problem we hear a lot in 2025, 24, 25 is stroke. People have stroke, okay? Like I work with a woman who had 4 strokes in 1 year, okay? And she's lucky to be still alive. But what is a stroke, okay? Now I'm talking about a stroke in the brain, okay? A stroke is when you put a lot of pressure in the brain. It's like a lot of blood comes. Why the blood comes in the brain? Because I need to perform intellectually. I need to prove you something. So a person with a stroke is a person that tries to convince another one. Sometimes because I face someone of authority, and in order to convince someone, I need to find good argument. And sometimes it's like I force myself because I would like to prove you that I am right. Okay, this is why many elders have stroke. Why? Because all their life they control their children, but when they are older, their words are not as powerful as before. Okay, because they're older. Okay, and their children have grown up, they're adults, they do whatever they want. Okay, so now you have some elders, they still try to control the other. Okay, stroke. Dr. Sabah had a stroke and he paralyzed after that. And this is why he couldn't help. Why did he have a stroke? Because he had a little car accident on his way to a workshop in Paris. And then he was upset because he would be late for the workshop. So he got out of the car and he started to argue with the other driver. A big argument. He had a stroke at that moment. But if he stayed peacefully sitting down in his car, he would never have that stroke. Okay. So, and then in recall healing, we try to build a puzzle. Okay. And that I will explain that. The puzzle will be the lifetime line, pregnancy time, and the family tree. But one thing we need to understand is what is a conflict in recall healing. All of us, we have our mind with our thoughts, we have a heart with our emotions and feelings, and we have our body with actions and behaviors. So now, what a conflict is when we are not coherent between what we think, what we feel, and the way we behave. For example, let's say I always give an example of a young woman, okay, 27 years old. Her mother wants her to marry a man that she doesn't love. But eventually, after a few months, she will accept to marry this man. But inside, she doesn't feel it. Okay. And she will have all kind of problem all her life because she says, yes, I do to a man that she doesn't love in order to please her mother. So, and you have many of us, okay, at a moment of a conflict. A conflict is you don't listen to the little voice inside that tells you to do it or not to do it. Okay. Yeah, many women, most women have a good intuition, and women are different than men because when it's time to make a decision, you feel it first in your solar plexus, in your gut. And then if you listen to that feeling, you mostly never wrong. But many women start to analyze their feeling and they say they are not sure. And suddenly they make a decision and later they realize they had a good intuition, but they didn't listen to it. And sometimes this is the beginning of a problem. Okay. She said, I knew it, but I didn't listen to it. Okay. So more you listen to your intuition, your gut feeling, more you're coherent with yourself, less you're in trouble. Okay. Yes, but why we don't listen to the intuition? Because sometimes you want to be with a man, you want to be with a woman, you cannot accept to be alone. Okay. Yes, but sometimes it doesn't work. Okay. So, okay, so the recall healing tools, I'll go quickly, okay, because we have very little time. Okay, so Dr. Sabah always used the iceberg analogy to explain what is a subconscious. When you look at this picture, the symptom we can observe in the body is what the doctor will use to make a diagnosis. But the symptom represents just 10% of the problem. And the doctor will give you a medication to suppress the symptom. Sometimes the symptom disappear. If it disappears, never come back, great. But many people realize after a while the symptom returns, come back. So now what to do? We need to study what is below the surface. So the symptom will tell us that there's an important conflict that has not been resolved underneath. And what is at the base of the iceberg is what you call my lifetime line, life timeline, my own experience from now backward to the time I was born. Deeper, what happened in my project purpose. That means during the pregnancy of my mother with me, okay, a little bit before and after, and deeper, the 3 previous generations. The recall healing level 1 is the study of below the iceberg, okay? So, and we use this picture. And see, project purpose start 18 months before birth. Imagine that you're like a seed, okay? So, for example, if people ask me why 18 months before birth, okay? Because imagine that this is dirt, okay? The earth, below the earth, you have a seed in the ground, okay? So imagine it's you and me in the womb of our mother, okay? And why we do 18 months? Because 18 is the symbol of the moon. Moon is the silver element and the symbol of women and the subconscious. So now, the first law of the project purpose is the emotional and psychological overwhelming conflicts of the parents during that time can become the biological conflict of the child. That means if my parents who are expecting me have a big problem and they die, I die. So what does the brain of my parents, in order to help them to survive, the brain of the parents, think about the rocket, okay? The brain of the parents download into the subconscious their overwhelming conflicts. Yeah, but when you have a baby on its way, the baby's brain will be the recipient of this overwhelming conflict. That doesn't mean the child will be sick later with that in his life, but it means that if he meets with a proper conflict that awakes the conflict that was recorded during the project purpose, at that moment the child can be sick. And we have a workshop on children in which we talk for 3 days about different problems, illnesses, pathological behavior, learning problem. We just find the story between the parents during the project purpose, and we help the child to get better in his issues. Okay? So now imagine when you're in the ground, the seed develop, okay, and it starts 9 months before conception. It includes the time of conception and the 9 months of pregnancy. And then when you're born the day of your birth, but we live in a world of 365 degrees around the sun. So now for 1 year, the brain will record what happened to us 1 day at a time. Okay? And then when you're 1 year old, we say, happy birthday to you. And the brain says, if I am alive now, it's because everything that I've recorded works. Let's repeat that all my life. So our brain will make an holographic memory of the first year and the 18 months before birth. All that is called project purpose. Okay, I write that like that, project purpose. Okay, and this is the time all of us were the most alive. Okay, because we're the beginning of our life. So now later in your life, imagine that you're 47 years old right now, okay? And then you have the contact of war. You have a rocket that strikes somewhere, okay? It's a fear of death. Every time you experience a fear of death, what can do your brain to optimize your chance to survive the stress of death today? By reconnecting you with your origin of your life. So now, what is the origin of your life? It's your project purpose. So if your brain has recorded beautiful energy, beautiful moments from the project purpose, when you have a stress of death today, it's easy because it reconnects you with something beautiful to optimize your chance to survive the stress of death today. But if your mother almost died during the pregnancy, if she had bleeding, if she felt awkward, if she had a dispute with her husband, the project purpose might have been very rock and roll, okay? So now, when you hear about death today, or you have a big stress today, your brain reconnects you with the beginning of your life. Project purpose, to give you more chance to survive today, the moment of stress. If the past project purpose is very stressful, instead of making you feel better in your stress today, the brain bring back a stressful project purpose energy. Okay, so look, before I understood that, when I had a stress in my life, I felt every time I wanted to commit suicide, I wanted to disappear. Okay, why? Because when my mother told my father she's pregnant with me, he went to buy a rifle, he wanted to kill her. So he was sent to a psychiatric institution during the pregnancy with me. For my mother, it was like dying. For my father, it was like dying, okay? So now, every time I had a stress, it reconnected me with that time, okay? So now we all have different story. So, but imagine if some of you are born in the 67 Six Days War or during the Yom Kippur War. Okay, if you have ancestors who died in Auschwitz, okay, in one big stress awakes the past in a fraction of a second. Okay, so and then when you know yourself, when you observe that, remember, quantum physics says when you observe an experience with consciousness and awareness, the observer changes the result of the experience. So that means you may have a terrible past. Even today, many mothers are pregnant. They will have babies with what happened since last October 7th, okay? It's hell. I know it's terrible, okay? So all that will be in the project purpose of these children to be born, okay? But the awareness of that, people who remember what happened, people who can reconnect with the source of what happened, is quite often a way out of the problem today, okay? Because remember, what comes back to your awareness, you don't have to relive it in your destiny. So the project purpose, it's something that we study constantly to help a person, to help a client, okay? And then, so there was a study in Time magazine, how the first 9 months shape the rest of your life. That was already an acceptation that the 9 months of pregnancy had an important impact in the life of someone. But with study now, we understand that we include 9 months before conception plus the first year of life, because we live in this world of 365 degrees around the sun. So we consider that. So see this child, this face, maybe you already saw that face, okay? This baby has a facial eczema 3 weeks after birth, okay? What happened? He had a beautiful face when he was born. What happened 3 weeks after birth? So I have a student who met the mother of that baby. She has the baby in her arm, okay, at the airport. And the baby had terrible facial eczema like that. Okay? And then my student said, hey, madam, can I ask you some questions? Okay? The mother is a PhD. She researched everything to help her son, okay? And so she says, was your baby born with that facial eczema? No, it came 3 weeks after birth. So now, because eczema is the repair phase of a conflict of separation with one person, we need to find the separation. So, and then what happened, to make it quick? The father and the mother had a big argument during the pregnancy. So big that the father became crazy. He had an ugly face and he scared the mother pregnant with that baby. And when the mother saw the face of her husband like that, who is normally a nice man, handsome, she found him so ugly, so scary, that she told him to fuck off. And she told him that when my baby is born, I divorce you. And then when the baby is born, 3 weeks after, the father asked the mother to forgive him for what happened. And he started to do something to repair what happened at the time. So 3 weeks after the birth, both parents reconciliated with each other. And the same day, that baby started that facial eczema. Now, the woman, the mother has the baby in her arm like that when she talks to the student, okay? And the brain of the baby hears the story that he has facial eczema because his parents had a dispute. And then, so it's like if you tell the baby, look, darling, your facial eczema is not your problem. It's a problem that Papa and Mama didn't resolve during the pregnancy and when you were born. Now, darling, as you heard the story, realize that it was a problem of Papa and Mama, not your problem. Okay? And then the mother sent me that picture 5 days later, and yes, the face that you can see at the bottom of this picture. Okay? The simple fact you understand why you have eczema, okay, or why my parents had eczema, I healed my facial eczema as a baby. And I explained that in level 1 more thoroughly, okay? It's just that I cannot spend too long time to explain that online right now. Okay, so you have some children that have difficulty to calculate, okay? And I give you a simple example. This girl is 8 years old and she cannot remember 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4. And now she's going soon to get 9 years old. And the parents come to see me for that problem. And normally I don't want to deal with such a problem because I am naturopath, okay? I don't deal with school difficulties. But I said, okay, what happened with numbers during the pregnancy? When a child has difficulty with number, fine, during the pregnancy, sometimes the parents make renovation and the parents have argument about money, about finance, about renovation, okay? And then this woman, the mother, she was having a glass of wine with her husband, and the wine was so good that they emptied the bottle, and suddenly they wanted to have sex. On the way to the bedroom, the mother said, wait a minute, and she looked at the calendar like this, and she calculated the days, and she told her husband, perfect, I'm not fertile tonight. And they went to the bedroom, they had sex. The morning after, the mother went back to washroom, and then she looked at the calendar, and she realized that she took the wrong page of the calendar. She miscalculated. So now this daughter, 8 years old, exists because the parents made a miscalculation. So when she tried to calculate well in school, she cannot get the right result because if she is exact, she does not exist. It sent her back to the project purpose like this. Okay. So when I talk with the mother about that, the girl is there in the office and her brain heard all the story. And the morning after, she can calculate well in school. Why? Because we just found why she was like that. The therapy, there's no therapy yet. Okay, the therapy would start if all of this is useless. Okay, but when you find why, when you go to the origin of a problem, I tell you 60% of the healing and sometimes 100% of the healing, especially in children. I agree with you. You have some pathology are very hard to heal. Okay, like I don't have great result with cerebral palsy or Down syndrome. Of course, you have pathologies very hard to heal. I agree with you. Okay, but there are many things you can do. And today, with the pre-screening test during the pregnancy, you know a child is going to be Down syndrome. And I have worked with parents during the pregnancy and the child is born without Down syndrome. As long as you can work with the parents long time before birth. Okay. So anyway, so um, okay, so in level 1, I will develop this topic much more, but just keep in mind also that after the lifetime line project purpose, we studied the 3 previous generations. Okay, and that is the study of a woman, Schutzenberger, who wrote a book, The Ancestor Syndrome. And sometimes we say we are sick as our secret. Yeah, the secret is what we ignore from our lifetime line, project purpose, and family tree. Okay, so our job is to find what is the secret. Yeah? Sometimes you work with someone with schizophrenic, and then the person is schizophrenic cannot really help you to help him. But if you have access to the parents of that person, quite often you can find something that can help the client to heal or to improve his condition. Okay, and so you have many pathologies. Okay, in level 1, I will talk about, for example, lung cancer. I'll talk about breast cancer. Okay, especially my specialty has been for a long time introductory breast cancer. Okay, I love working the breast because I understand. I understand well. I have 4 sisters. I have helped many women to heal breast cancer. Okay, and last example I would like to give you before I give you a time for certain questions is this. One day a woman comes for larynx cancer 3 weeks before she starts radiation. Okay, so me, I don't interfere with medical protocol. But when you look at what said Dr. Hammer about larynx cancer, is the repair phase of a conflict of feminine fear. So that woman who called me, she's 60 years old and she smoked cigarettes for 45 years. And she thinks she has larynx cancer because of smoking. I told her, it's possible, madam, but it's also, it can be linked with the feminine fear. So she said, what is a feminine fear? It's when you do that, you scare. It's like someone scares you, okay? And then I found in her life the year before, she had her daughter as a child was born the same day than another child. When the other child is 6 months old, he died in his baby's bed. So the daughter told her mother, yes, mama, we call that cribs dead baby. And it can happen until the baby is 1 year old. So my client took care of a grandchild who is at that moment 6 months old. For the next 6 months, she will be scared every day that her child died from cribs dead baby. For 6 months, she goes into the bedroom of the child thinking the child doesn't breathe. Okay? Okay? She will live that regularly, okay, for 6 months. And when 6 months is over, the stress is over, okay? And she has forgotten about that. But 2 months after that, she's diagnosed with larynx carcinoma, which is the repair phase of that feminine fear. And then when she understood that, it made sense, okay? We just found the reason why. So 3 weeks later, when she goes for radiation, they analyze her larynx and she has nothing. they say, is it a right diagnosis, a wrong diagnosis? Okay, they were not sure. But when you find that, okay, is the daily bread in therapy. We just find the origin of the problem. Quite often, it brings a powerful incentive to heal the problem. And if it doesn't heal, what you do, you let the medical protocol going on, or you find integrative medicine that can contribute to help the person. Okay. So, and then in this level 1 that we will have at the end of October this year, it's, I tell you, after 3 days, you can use life timeline, project purpose, family tree to help yourself to resolve a problem, to identify the source of a problem. And you can do the same with someone that you love, with a friend, with a family member, okay? And it's interesting because you don't use any other tool other than what you know, okay? So at this moment, I invite you to attend the Recall Healing workshop to go deeper and to become more comfortable with this approach. And then if you're a therapist and you use any other modality, like when I came to Israel the first time, my sponsor were acupuncturists and theta healers. And it helps these acupuncturists and theta healers to identify the source of the problem. So when you give a treatment with the source of the problem, you optimize your chance to get a better result. Okay, it's more efficient. So I wish you inspiration, intuition, enthusiasm. And last thing I want to say is, I always say the mother is the best therapist in recall healing when it's time to help a child, because she remembers the conception, what happened in the pregnancy and the first year of the child's life. So there's no other people better than a mother to heal a child. So thank you. And now I remain open, Gamliel, to answer any question until we have to complete our evening.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. אני
Welcome.
אגיד
Thank you
בעברית.
so much. I'll say this in Hebrew. Thank you. I mean, it's so fascinating to listen to you. I didn't even want to stop you. And there are so many questions that have been asked. Let me just say a sentence. I don't think I'll be able to take everything, but there are dozens of questions.
סליחה?
לא שומעים, נכון, לא שומעים. שומעים. תעברו לעברית.
מי שלא שומע אותי, שיעבור לעברית.
שומעים.
אז ככה, אז קודם כל, מי שרוצה לשאול שאלה...
So if anybody wants to ask any question, something about just understanding about the therapy itself, we'll give time to ask a few questions, and then we'll move over to more personal questions. There are some people who asked about the actual method. So if somebody wants to open their mic, don't write in the chat, please. You want to open your microphone, you can ask a question. I'd be happy to ask. Go ahead, Batel. How do you overcome, what you said, that you have to get to the memory and you need the assistance of the mother, right? You have to recall what happened during the time of conception and the pregnancy. Sometimes we don't have that information.
Let's honor that, okay? Sometimes we don't have the information. Okay, so what you do, we work with what we know, we work with what we remember. At least we have a life cycles, we have a life timeline. We can start there to identify something, okay? Now, for all of us, when you ask your parents, or let's say your parents are there, they are not there to answer you. I explained that better in level 1, but I will give you an answer right away, okay? Remember, your brain has recorded everything since you were conceived, even before, okay? So now, the day you're born, at your birth, you're 0 years old, okay? And then you have a life with your parents, and let's say you become totally independent from your parents, from food, money, and shelter 2 years after the army. Example, okay? Let's say at 22 years old, you leave your parents to have your life. So you move, and at 22, you start your life. Remember one thing, okay? The brain can recognize just what it knows, and it knows just what it can recognize. The brain wants to repeat. So now, the brain has recorded everything from birth to your time of autonomy, independent from your parents. The day you start your life, what does say the brain? If I am alive at 22, is because what happened in the first cycle worked. Let's repeat in the second cycle what happened in the first cycle. That means the day you're independent from your parents, the brain makes you go through emotionally the same thing that happened when you were 0 years old. Oh, now, if your parents are not here to give you an answer, you say, the day of my independence is like 0. That means 9 months before your autonomy independence. For example, in this case, 9 months minus 22 is 21 and 3. Okay, so now I have a person that was raped 9 months before. Okay, and then she realized that her mother was raped to conceive her. Oh, it's interesting, okay? And 9 months before that corresponds to, for example, in this case, 20 and a half, you have 18 months before birth. This time period corresponds, symbolically speaking, to the 18 months before your birth. And then, in this case, 22 to 23 corresponds to the first year of my life. So now, if 18 months before your autonomy, everything is nice in your life emotionally, maybe everything was nice for your parents 18 months before your birth, okay? But you have some people inside of the first year of their life, they're already divorced. Why? So then you identify that your father cheated on your mom the first month of your birth. And then it could have led to divorce. Your parents didn't divorce, but you, in the second cycle, you divorce. My point is, we are in biology means the law of agriculture. Your parents, you're like a seed coming out from your parents. So study yourself, study your origin, where you come from, okay, in order to understand what happened to you. That's a part of my answer, okay? Does that make sense to you?
תודה רבה, כן, מעולה.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yes, it does, thank you.
Okay. Next question, Gamliel?
נעבור עכשיו לאנשים שנרשמו לשאלות, אלא אם כן
Let's
יש
move
מישהו
over
עוד
to the
שאלה
people who
לגבי
registered, unless somebody has a specific question about the
נוספת
actual
כמובן על
method.
מה שכבר נשאל, כי בתל
An
שאלה
additional
שאלה.
question, because Badel already asked something. If somebody has a different question
יש עוד
about the
מישהו?
actual
אם
healing,
לא, אז
recall
רות,
healing?
תורך.
No? Okay, so Ruth, then it's your turn now.
מצלמה.
Open your camera, please, and your microphone, and you can ask a question.
אין לי שאלה.
Hello, hello. Go ahead, please.
רגע, עכשיו השאלות, גמליאל?
Now,
עכשיו
are we
השאלות.
up to the
מה את רוצה
question
כמובן?
phase?
לא
Yes,
חייבת.
yes. Go ahead. You don't have to, but we're asking questions now. I have a child who's 3 months old,
ויש לו על הקרקפת כתם לידה.
Congratulations.
and he has a birthmark. It's called manioma, right? It actually grows. One is small, one is really grew by 2.5 centimeters on his skull. It's like a bit of a bulge. It looks like a bit of a bruise on his skull. And the doctors gave me this gel to make it shrink. And then, you know, it has become, it's supposed to become smaller, and then it's supposed to disappear. Can we maybe use our consciousness, our awareness, instead of taking the gel? Can we treat it differently?
Let's say I never know ahead of time, okay? Because every case is unique, okay? But the first question I ask you, okay? this birthmark is made of what? Do you know? Melanin, normally. Okay.
כן.
Melanin comes from the dermis, the deep skin, controlled by the cerebellum. And normally is to protect something. Okay. So let's say the boy is a boy.
זה בן, כן.
Okay. The boy is...
Yes, it's a boy. It's a boy.
Okay.
He's 3 months old.
Yeah, the boy is born with that. Okay, that means it's not about the boy, it's about the mother or the father. Okay, so okay, remember, okay, is we talk about everything. Okay, so now show me with your finger where is the mark on your head.
זה נמצא אחד כאן.
Yeah,
one
okay,
is
okay.
here
Yeah.
and one further down here.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
The bigger one is here and the small one is further down and it's kind of pinkish reddish.
Yeah, yes, I understand. Okay, so we have to be Sherlock Holmes. I have to ask you a question to find a story that you will remember. Okay, so for example, everything behind the head, okay, is a fear to be attacked. Okay, everything behind the head is a form of paranoia. It's like during the pregnancy, you cannot trust anybody. I don't know. Did you experience something like that?
That's exactly when the war started on October 7th. I discovered I was pregnant. That's after I did fertility treatments. And on that time, I became pregnant.
Yeah, but it has been very intense. If we speak French Canadian, okay, you would say, "Oh fuck, fuck." Okay, it's scary. Okay. So for me, it's like the brain. It's like the brain produced that to protect. Okay. And not only that, is sometimes if the head is the authority in your life, okay? The authority can be symbolically God, the government, your parents, okay? Sometimes it's like even the authority cannot protect you, okay? So the brain finds a solution by this mark. It's like a protection that you cannot feel from anybody around you, symbolically speaking. So now, what to do when your baby sleeps? You say, "Darling, mama remembers something," and you tell the story to your child when he sleeps, okay? Why? Because the brain of your child will say, "Oh, it's not me. It happened to mama, papa, not me." Okay, because remember, the drama...
So to tell him that I became pregnant during the war and I was scared and that there were missiles and not missiles, sorry, but that we were attacked and it could happen again. Everything that I felt, should I tell him that?
Yes. Listen, wait a second. Okay. What is important is that you know that when you're pregnant, when the brain downloads a conflict into the baby's brain, it is recorded like it happened to me, the baby, to free the burden of the mother, the father. So now when you tell your child when he sleeps, your story, it's like you talk to someone, okay? You tell your story and the brain of the baby says, "Oh, this didn't happen to me, it happened to mama." This is why you have to tell everything your child. "Hey, darling, I have to tell you something. This happened to me." And the brain will say, "Oh," the brain releases it right away because the brain knows now it's you, not him. Okay? I explained.
When he's asleep, it could be in his nap in the noon time or at night. It doesn't matter when he's asleep, if it's nap time or night time.
The best is when you finish the feeling, you fall asleep, boom, 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 and then you talk. It's fantastic. Okay. The mother is the best healer, right? And
וכמה זמן
yeah,
לעשות עד שזה נעלם?
And for how long to do it? Until it disappears, or is for a week or two?
normally you just say once, but you say it from your heart. Normally it's once enough. Okay? Now,
פעם אחת.
now,
הבנתי.
now the problem now is
Okay.
your child is still in the first year of his life. Okay, he's still in the project purpose. So that means everything that stresses you as a mother is still downloaded in his baby's brain. Okay. So yes, sometimes you can talk to your child. Hey, my darling, don't forget it happened to mama. Okay.
בזמן שהוא ישן.
While he's asleep.
Yeah. Because
ומה
you talk
לגבי
to.
הג'ל?
Listen.
לשים
And
אותו,
what
לא לשים
about
אותו?
the gel? Should I put it or not?
Listen.
רעות, אני אדריך אותך אחר כך בדיוק איך עושים את זה.
Raut, I'll tell you later exactly what to do, but what Gilbert just mentioned now is very important. That's the project purpose. In the first course, Recall Healing Level 1, Gilbert explains exactly about the project purpose. It's extremely important to understand this and to address these things in time. Because I bought the gel, I haven't started using it yet.
Listen, okay, I talk about the emotional trauma. You as a mother, you are free to use it or not, okay, to support the healing. Okay, you just have to make sure it doesn't produce any secondary effect that you don't want. Okay. Okay.
I
But
see. Thank you so much.
Remember,
it was wonderful to speak with you.
Remember, you're a good mother. That's the most important. No guilt, no blame. Okay. Very important for mothers. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I'll remember that. Okay, so next, you wanted to let me speak. Ruth, I said I don't have a question, but actually I do. But I will keep my camera off because I wasn't ready to speak. So may I ask, is it okay? Yes, Gamliel says, yes, I can't see you. My camera is off. My camera is off.
It's too bad.
כן, באמת חבל. רגע, שנייה אחת, מי מדברת רגע?
Because I didn't know in advance. Who's speaking? Oh, Ruth.
מיטל רצתה לשאול שאלה.
Meital wanted to ask a question about the method.
את עשית ביטול סודיות? או זה משהו?
Did you sign off on exempt on your privacy? Oh, I thought you were speaking with Meital, a waiver. Do you want to ask a personal question? Yes, a personal question. Okay, so you have to wait in line. Yeah, fine, because you did let me speak earlier, so sorry. You tell me when. Okay, so now Meital. Meital has a question about the method. Hi, bonjour.
Bonjour,
I'm so proud of you that you are from Canada. I wish I know before, but I have my mama here. She speaks French. She would like to ask you something. She come to visit from Israel.
Okay,
so
sure.
I'll give it to you, okay? 1 minute. Hello, bonjour.
Hello, bonjour.
Je voulais savoir.
Can you speak in Hebrew for everybody? Because everybody has to understand.
I wanted to ask if what about genetics? If my mother had cancer and my two sisters has cancer and I had cancer, how can you explain that it's from something that happened to me, from a trauma that happened to me? I'd like to better understand that point.
Yeah, okay. So it's a good question. Thank you. Okay.
Merci.
So first thing, okay, everything is genetic in life, but that doesn't mean you have to be sick. So now, in order.
Pardon, can you explain in France for her, maybe?
No, because no.
Okay. I'm gonna explain for her.
Okay, just make sure make sure you can explain to your mother after we talk, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so now, let's say everybody in our ancestors have experienced drama that are unresolved, okay? That doesn't mean we will be affected. But how can you be affected? It is if you live a drama that has awakes this memory. So that means when someone has a cancer, we never say it's genetic. We find the drama. We find the drama that happened before your cancer. Because if you resolve that, you resolve your problem and you can bring a solution for the whole family tree. And it's a way to break a cycle. Okay. 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 Every cancer,
Thank you.
every cancer has a specific conflict. And if you, okay, so okay, so I know if we had more time, I would ask you to detail everything, but it's just a quick feedback, okay?
Thank you so much.
Merci pour votre question. Je vous en prie. Gamliel?
ונינה?
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed your talk and I've signed up for the course, so we'll meet in October. I wanted to ask you about autism.
Yeah.
How
Yes.
a
Okay,
child gets to a family.
the problem is this. What did cause autism? Is it the result of a vaccine or a result of the conflict? Because it's two different things.
Not a vaccine.
Okay.
Because the only thing, I mean, I kept thinking about the pregnancy. Before I became pregnant, I said to my husband, we're gonna have another child or we split up. And my husband said, but you promised only 2. And I said, but now I want another child. I want a son. Or either we have another child or we break up.
Yeah. Okay, so that we can talk later, okay? I'll
אוקיי, אז
give
על זה
you,
אפשר לדבר אחר
I give you.
כך.
Look, if you have an adult, autism is schizophrenia in the reality, okay? But because it's a child, we say autism, okay? But when you study Hammer, autism is a constellation. Well, you have a conflict here and you have a conflict there in the cortex. This is a fear, an important fear, and this is resentment dispute during the pregnancy. Okay, so anything experienced by the parents during the pregnancy about fear, about resentment, anger, can program a child to have autism, okay, in his life. Okay, but look, what is the definition of autism? It's a child normally that live in this world. Okay, so now it's, for example, I eliminate the other person. I have worked 10 years with autism, with children, with parents, okay, with doctors. And when I'm in autistic, it's like the other person does not exist, okay? So my point is, when you were pregnant with your child, did you live a situation where you had to eliminate someone? Symbolically. It can be you, can be your husband, or it can be the situation, okay? Your child, how old is your child right now?
14 years old, and I can tell you that I decided I got pregnant because I decided, and I'm the one who's raising this son. There wasn't any cooperation on anything.
So you felt alone. You felt alone. It's like,
Yes.
yeah. So it's like if you have to survive alone to do everything. So it's like, think about this, okay? Another way to say is I am alone on an island. I am alone on an island. So I don't feel seen, I don't feel talked to, I feel isolated, okay? Make sense? Okay, so now, but during the pregnancy with your son, did you experience any important fear? Like, think about that. And then have you been freaking pissed off at someone, at your husband, for example, or angry?
היינו בשלב של פירוד, היינו
We
בשלב...
were at the point of or a stage of separation of
אתה לא איתי,
you're not with me,
התינוק יציל אותנו.
so the baby will save us.
Yeah, but
שום אמון, שום תקשורת, שום...
No communication, no
exactly.
togetherness.
This is no communication, lack of communication, okay? So it's like if all the drama that you went through, it's like your child has experienced that as him. He expresses that, okay? So what to do? Your son is 14 years old now, okay? First, you need to remember all the project purpose of your son. You write that down, okay? And then when he sleeps, try that. Try to read, hey, darling, I have to read you what happened to me, your mother, okay? And you talk to him like you talk to someone. But when he sleeps, because we talk to the subconscious, okay? And see what happened, okay? Every detail can bring a percentage of improvement.
Thank you so much, and I'm going to study this technique.
But there's something else to say, okay? You have to tell him, darling, Mama felt isolated from your father. I felt alone. I felt in my world, okay? But darling, that was Mama, not you, okay? It's important that you communicate that so the brain will say, oh, that was Mama. Oh, that was Papa, okay? Play the comedy like I do, okay? Be very expressive like that, okay? The brain of your child will record it. Huh?
תודה רבה.
Thank you so much.
איה, יש פה שתי איות.
Aya, we have two women named Aya in the group. So Aya from the US. Yes, I said that I wanted to ask a question. Let's see you. I'd like to see you. Raise your hand. Yes, this is me. Hi. Okay.
Okay.
I have a question. My question is about elopsia in the scalp. Alopecia.
Yeah. What's the question? You want, what is alopecia?
That's the question. It started 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay.
And that's it. That's all the information I have right now.
Okay, now I return the question. What happened to you 3 weeks ago, just before?
What happened before?
Just before, what happened to you?
אני זוכרת שהמחשב
I remember that my computer I used to work was ruined because some water got spilled over it and it ruined the computer. That's the only event I can remember.
Yeah, but this represented what for you? Did you make money with your computer? Did you connect with people?
Yes, exactly, an income.
Okay, so that means you lost symbolically something important. In biology, okay, the hair of a woman is like your nest, okay? So when you fear to lose your nest or to lose the security in your nest, your brain gives you some hair to provide protection and security in the nest.
Okay.
Okay, and when, for example, when a female fox have a baby, she pull the hair out of her belly to create the nest. So we find many women who lose their hair by birth go through a separation, or they worry about their nest, the children, or the capacity to make your nest safe.
Okay.
Take a good breath, and to stop that now is to verbalize. How did you experience that? If you could speak French Canadian, what would you say? I give you an example. I was freaking pissed off. I was so hurt. I was so angry. I was so. You have to say something to verbalize.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you don't give an issue, it goes on the tissue. Tell me on which degree you were pissed off. Say something.
Ken.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. But I didn't say anything. I kind of kept silent, but I wanted to.
Tell me now.
And,
Tell me now, please. Say something, okay?
זה
Oh,
מעצבן.
wow, it's annoying.
Fuck.
It's scary.
Yes, okay. It's what you need to say. But at the time, okay.
Okay.
If you remember, okay, if you don't give an issue, it goes in the tissue. So what is the issue at the time you didn't give enough? I speak like that, but it's true. It's like that. You need to say something, okay? Because it was intense. Thank you, Aya, for your question.
תודה רבה.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'd
I'd like to say perhaps just another sentence because there are so many questions here and we won't be able to answer them all. Obviously, I'm very happy that there are so many questions, so many. I couldn't even go through all of them. So those of you who will take the first course or the more advanced courses, we have an entire day in which Gilbert demonstrates the recall healing session. It's highly recommended because Gilbert really elaborates on each case. Obviously, we only have 2 hours now, so it's just some samples, something, on a very small scale. So maybe you'd like to say a few things about that special day?
But in that day, we call that therapy live work, but also we have times also between to ask questions and have more time to answer than now.
אז כרגע בת-אל, ואחר כך אילנה.
Okay, so right now Bat-El, and then Ilana, and then Ruth, if we have time. Because we really only have a few minutes.
Okay, bring me someone, please.
אני רציתי לשאול על אוזן, אבל לא חתמתי בסוף.
I wanted to ask about the ear, but I didn't sign the waiver.
אני רציתי לשאול על אוזן.
I wanted to ask something. I can sign the waiver later if you want me to. Who's asking now, Gamliel? It's Bat-El. Bat-El is asking.
Okay, Batel,
She's on the spot.
Go ahead, Batel. Ask me a question.
באוזן שמאל יש לי איזושהי ירידה בשמיעה בלי מקור ידוע. זה גרם לסחרחורות ולהתקפים של סחרחורות, רעש וחוסר אפשרות להיות בפוקוס, אני חושבת. זה לא טינטון. וזה סוג של בא והלך.
It's not tinnitus. I have a reduction in hearing in my left ear.
כאילו חגורה בצד הזה.
But since when? Reduction of hearing. There's a questions about that, reduction of hearing?
כן, יש ירידה בשמיעה.
Yes, there is a reduction in my hearing. And it's not all the time, but it can recur. It spontaneously recurs.
Think about this, okay? Have you been heard? Have you been heard by what you have heard?
עוד פעם? Can you ask again?
Did anyone hurt you with some words?
Hurt me.
Yeah. You normally
Yes,
I hear
yes.
something, it hurts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have no defense, if you don't say fuck off, or you don't say something to push, what can do your brain to protect you from another attack symbolically? Yes, exactly. So now your job is to remember what happened and to say what you didn't say at the time. Okay.
So if it comes back without having any, like spontaneously, without any trigger, it doesn't matter.
No,
treat it the same.
No,
okay.
Yeah. But you have to come back to the first time you felt it. Okay.
Okay.
And then I have another question to you. Our ear is connected with the pregnancy as well. I have a question. When your mother told your father, I'm pregnant, what did he say?
I don't know. I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know, but I was the last one after 3 sisters, so maybe.
So now, when you were born, what did he say after you were born? Oh, not another girl or something.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
My point is your mother has been hurt by what she heard.
Yeah.
So now later in your life, when something happened, same like you hurt by what you hear, so it can awake that memory, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that means, you know what? Find a way to verbalize about that. In French Canadian, they always start with fuck off, have enough, okay?
Okay. So verbalize it once for myself and the second time as her.
It's you just connecting that if something happened to you in your life for yourself, that means something might have happened also in the project purpose. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. For example, normally it's when the mother is pregnant. She says, darling, I'm pregnant. And he says something. Oh, no. Oh, yes. Oh, I want an abortion or something. Okay.
It could be a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. But everything that could hurt a mother who is pregnant. Okay.
So I will see some improvement on only.
I don't know. Your job first is to remember what happened when the first time you notice you have a reduction of hearing. Okay. And just that sometimes it's enough. You already found the story with the girls now. Okay. So it's in your consciousness. Okay.
The only thing that I found in the beginning when I searched by myself is that I started hearing תקשור, connecting, like. So this was the
channeling.
first
She started receiving some channeling.
Yeah. But when you channel, okay, did anyone make a comment on your channeling?
Okay, I will look for it maybe.
Because when you channel, you have people say yes, no, or sometimes you feel nobody would believe you sometimes, okay?
Mm.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Batel.
אנחנו ממש בדקות האחרונות, ולכן...
We really have just a few minutes left, so I think maybe we can take just one more question. Ilana, let's do it quickly, and let me just say one more thing before we finish. on the WhatsApp group. We're going to try and answer your questions. So please go ahead and write over the next few days. Be patient, and we'll really make an effort to answer everyone. Yes, Ilana, I think we're going to finish off this evening with you. Please make it quick because we really just have a few minutes left. Ilana? Ilana, she's not here. Ruth?
Talia Shoval,
would you like to? No, it's Ruth. It's Ruth. Can I ask? Yes, yes, please. Go ahead. Go for it. Yes, I'm sorry, my camera is off, but I have one specific question. My right foot on the ankle, about 4 centimeters above the heel, there's this bulge, and it's actually a bone that's kind of sticking out, and it really hurts me. Where did that come from? Protruding, bulging bone 4 or 5 centimeters above the heel.
It's a good question. I don't know. Okay, I don't see, and I need a diagnosis. Okay, but forget everything. Okay. Wait, listen. 2 things. Okay, I would ask. Okay. Normally, ankle talks about which direction should I go. Do I know? Do I feel lost in my direction right now? At the moment, disappeared. Okay. Second thing, our ankle just above is the support of the whole structure. Sometimes we feel that we don't feel strong enough to support everything in our life. Okay, so have you been triggered in one of these 2 stresses? It was
yes.
a question. Okay, so it's about that. Okay, so
yes, I did experience that.
The brain brings extra bone, like to make it stronger, to support better.
But I limp because of that, and it hurts me. It's difficult for me to walk with it.
That's the problem. The solution of the brain is not our solution, okay? So it's a little bit like, but just keep in mind, it's like extra bone. Extra bone is extra support. That means in the drama, I didn't feel strong enough to support what I had to support. That's my answer.
Okay, but now what do I do with it?
Me, I find the reason why. The rest is you need a long answer now. We need to see the cycles, your age, and when maybe you have been stressed regarding that. And behind an ankle, there's always the mother. So what was your relationship and support you received from your own mother in your life? You have to question that. Okay.
אז לכל דבר טוב יש גם סיום.
So every good thing comes to an end. So I would like to thank all of you. Michal, thank you so much for the interpreting. Without you, we couldn't have managed. For those of us who don't speak English. And also your team and Shlomit. I can see Gali here. I'd like to thank Gali from our team. And let me just say one thing. Now that I am responsible, we're going to have practices every 2 weeks. Gali is going to do it in addition with Edna, of course, our good old Edna. There are many other candidates who would like to moderate, but we're just starting, and I'd like to notify you this evening. I'd really like to thank our amazing Gilbert, our dearest Gilbert. Of course, will coordinate whenever his schedule is free because he's extremely, extremely busy. And sometimes he will join us in our practice sessions. That's extremely important news for us here in Israel. We really, really need your participation. And all of our students, all our graduates,
And I want absolutely to thank all the students for being present. I'd like to thank all the students for being present tonight, and I invite all of you to level 1, and then after that to the special day. And then thank you to Michal for your translation. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to help. Thank you very much, Gamliel. And I let you the word of the end, Gamliel.
So thank you once again. And we're just getting started because this evening was devoted for all those who haven't studied recall healing yet. And there are a lot of secrets and layers upon layers that we're going to have to open and reveal. And, you know, each of us, everybody has their problems. And recall healing, like I said at the beginning, is one of the therapies that are above. You've already had a small taste of it this evening, but in the next courses and workshops, you'll understand even more. And for me, the most important part for those of you who study, that's of course the support of mentors and to practicing. So it's not just to study the course and that's it. Here we learn and we practice, we work, and of course the best thing is to treat ourselves. That's why we'll discover all of our secrets, our family secrets. It was such a tremendous pleasure to have you all, to have you, my querido amigo, and God willing, as we say here in Israel, we will see each other in the upcoming workshops. Gamliel, I'd like to thank you. You have advanced recall healing here in Israel tremendously, and you're really helping us with that. So thank you so much, Gamliel, for that. Of course, my pleasure. So goodbye, everyone, and thank you.
Gilbert, you are a sweet man.
תודה רבה. תודה רבה לכולכם וגם לג'ילבר. תודה רבה.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Gilbert.
Thank you. Very happy to be there. Thank you.
תודה רבה.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gilbert. It was such great fun.